first to both of you on this debate back and forth. Alex, Trump is changing the rule. I mean, Trump says the Democrats changed the conditions because, of course, they brought a new candidate. He did agree to ABC. Now he's saying, totally different race. I want Fox, and I want an audience here. Is he going to win that argument?
I think he is. I mean, look, to be fair, it was a completely different candidate. 17 million people voted in primaries for Joe Biden and selected him. And then 2,500 people went online a couple days ago and said, no, we have a new candidate. That agreement.
I mean, she was a vice president, though. So
understood. If President Biden wants to keep that first debate, I think that's fine. I think it's completely acceptable and, frankly, deserved for that to be a new conversation.
Okay, your response, Maria?
I think it shows that he's terrified of debating somebody as good as Kamala Harris. I think it shows that he wants to do it on Fox. He wants to do it with an audience because those two things are like security blankets for him. And that's what he needs right now. This race has completely discombobulated him and the people around him. They have no idea how to approach running against somebody who is so accomplished, who is whip smart, who has a background as a prosecutor, and Donald Trump is a 34 times convicted felon.
So, fair. Those are different venues. Fox, a very different network from ABC. The audience is something that he thrives on or believes he could thrive on. So what's your response to that?
A couple of things. Number one, it's important to remember we had a Biden campaign and a Trump campaign. And for the first time in American history, we had a presidential campaign go blue screen of death, literally completely brick and melt down. And the party on a dime has said, we're going to anoint somebody new. It is absolutely critical.
But I'm asking specifically about the conditions.
I understand.
They're different. It's a different network that is much more Trump friendly.
It's a different campaign. It's a completely different dynamic. That therefore, let's have a conversation about how to debate. So the American people deserve, frankly, to be introduced to her. I know how those previous debates have been. I remember watching Tulsi Gabbard do her magic in the debate the last time that Vice President Harris ran. And I also know how the last debate went for President Trump and Joe Biden. I do not believe in any way this is a lack of interest in being on a debate stage with her, but why should that not be a...
Why not just keep it? That's what they agreed to.
That's what
Is he afraid of doing it on ABC?
No, that's what Joe Biden agreed to.
Is
Joe
Trump
Biden
afraid
should
of
come
doing it
and
on
debate.
ABC?
No, of course not.
Well, then why not do it?
Just like the first debate was
Why
on
not do
CNN.
it?
Great, let's do both.
Both what?
Let's do a September 4th on Fox.
That wasn't what was agreed to originally.
That wasn't the candidate.
And let me
ask you a question.
Do you believe this is actually a conversation now, negotiation between the two campaigns, or is it possible that they just go their separate ways?
It could be very possible that they go their separate ways, and I actually think it would be a really dumb decision for Donald Trump to not show up at the ABC debate. As I understand it, ABC has already agreed to do the airtime, so Vice President Kamala Harris will be there as the Democratic Party's presidential candidate. She could very well have these 2 hours to herself, which would be fantastic. There could be an empty chair there that she puts there, and to demonstrate that Donald Trump did not have the pants to show up, that he is concerned about debating somebody as qualified as she is, and it will, she'll have all the airtime to herself.
I want to talk about something more important, because it is more important about who debates who, when, and in what network. And it is the current presidential candidate for the Republican Party saying that the Democratic candidate turned black, a woman whose father was Jamaican, immigrant, mother Indian. Now, there was a lot of criticism even from Republicans following that statement, and instead of walking it back, Trump and Vance have doubled down on that. I don't want to ask whether that's smart politically. I just want to ask you directly, is that acceptable?
No, I don't think it was a productive thing to do. What I do believe, and I think you're going to hear probably today in the rally the President and Senator Vance are holding, is this argument that she is not genuine. And what I'm talking about by that is, for months, Republicans, President Trump argued vociferously that Joe Biden wasn't competent to be president, he wasn't capable, and the response was, you're lying, it's not true, everything's perfect, and until it wasn't.
But that gets to the issue of competence. I'm talking about the
I
race
understand.
question.
I'm talking about the broader narrative of phony versus real. And just like that, President Trump's been arguing, and 75% of Americans agree, the economy's not great, and Vice President Harris, Joe Biden have been
doesn't get to
saying
the race question.
everything's great. Look, I'm not going to get to that because
You don't think it's a acceptable path?
It's not a question of whether it's an acceptable path. I think the president is going to focus that phony narrative not so much on that, but on the economic policies and the realities of.
We'll see. I mean, I know
what
that's his
looks like.
advisors, but it's not what he's been tweeting about.
It actually.
Does Kamala Harris respond? I mean, she's already responded to it to some degree, but does she focus on it or just say, look at me and let's move on?
Yeah, I don't think she needs to focus on it because everybody else knows exactly what's going on. And it absolutely is not an acceptable path. And I commend you, Alex, for having to spin something that is just completely unspinnable. And to me, he is going to continue to do that. The Republican talking point now in the spin is that, what he meant was that she's phony. No, what he meant is what he meant because he's a sexist, he's a misogynist, and he's a racist. And so he's going to continue to do that. As a Democrat, I say bring it on. This is not going to do anything to add voters that he needs to win. It's going to do everything to alienate blocks of voters. And so Kamala Harris, is going to focus on what she wants to do for the country for the next 4 years.
Let me ask you a question to a point that Alex raised. Does the vice president have to answer directly whether she was honest and open about a decline of the president's abilities?
I am sure she will get asked that when she gets in front of the media, and I'm sure she will answer it. I think that is a phony theme that Republicans are trying to use because, again, I think they are so concerned about running against somebody that they have no idea how to run. And to me, that somebody that brings, it's a constellation of qualities that make up what the political kryptonite that she represents for somebody like Donald Trump.
Well, we got 94 days? Is it 94 days to see how it plays out? Alex, Maria, thanks so much for taking the hard questions. I appreciate it from both of you.